Ladies and gentlemen, champions in the making, listen with the urgency of someone who has just discovered a ticking clock on the wall of their own potential. There is a revolution waiting at the edge of every sunrise, a revolution that demands neither armies nor fortunes, only 60 undefeated minutes harvested from the heart of your day. Picture this, an hour sealed off from excuses, guarded like a vault, ignited like a rocket stage. Within that narrow band of time, you will locate the seed of every dream you have ever postponed. Most people trade that seed for gossip, scrolling, or passive complaint. You are not most people. You are the architect of an uprising that occurs while the sleepy masses drift. The first law of the 60-minute revolution is seize the golden hour. Identify it with ruthless honesty. For some, it is 5 a.m. For others, it is the lunch break when the crowd dithers. Claim it. Post a do not disturb sign on your life. That single declaration cuts a trench between ordinary and extraordinary. Second, invoke single-point focus. Refuse the myth of multitasking. Take one objective. Write the proposal, design the prototype, rehearse the pitch, and burn your attention upon it like sunlight through a magnifying glass. Distraction is treason. Exile it without mercy. Third, deploy compressed intensity. The human spirit holds oceans of power, but only when pressurized. You are not strolling, you are sprinting. Set a countdown timer. Hear it hiss like a fuse. The awareness of scarcity ignites dormant reservoirs of genius. Fourth, visualize the finish line before the race begins. Close your eyes and see the email sent, the chapter printed, the body conditioned, the sale secured. When the picture is bright enough, hesitation dissolves like mist under noon. Fifth, leverage micro-rewards. Promise yourself something delightful, a walk under open sky, a favorite coffee, a song that lifts your pulse. The brain adores swift gratification. Give it a taste once it delivers performance. Sixth, command the environment. Clear the desk, silence the phone, straighten the spine. Greatness does not bloom in chaos. Cultivate a battlefield arranged for victory. Seventh, track, measure, adjust. After the hour, jot numbers, lessons, barriers. Data is the language of improvement. Tomorrow's hour stands on today's shoulders. Finally, stack the hours, build the life. 1 hour is a spark, 30 are a bonfire. Compound interest is not merely for money. Apply it to mastery. 60 focused minutes daily equal 300 rapid-fire hours per year. That is the equivalent of 7 full work weeks spent at peak intensity. Ask yourself what empire could rise on that foundation. Some will mutter, an hour is too small. Recall a seed again, it appears insignificant until it splits concrete. Genius rarely arrives in weekend retreats. It appears in disciplined increments. History bows to those who learned this secret early and wield it relentlessly. Look around. The marketplace rewards speed melded with precision. While competitors deliberate, you will have launched, tested, iterated. While peers draft excuses, you draft blueprints. While rivals drift into comfort, you step into your uncompromising hour and emerge sharper, stronger, further. You may wonder, what if life erupts, family, crisis, fatigue? The answer is to defend the hour, not worship the schedule. If dawn betrays you, steal twilight. If noise intrudes, retreat to silence within noise. Headphones, libraries, parked cars. A revolutionary adapts. The objective is inviolable. Momentum will accumulate. The first week feels forced, the second habitual, the third inevitable. By the fourth, friends will notice unusual results and ask for your secret. Tell them the truth. I wage a 60-minute revolution every single day. Let me leave you with a challenge, not a comfort. Tonight, write tomorrow's target on paper. At the appointed time, start the clock and make war on mediocrity for exactly 1 hour. When the alarm sounds, stop, victorious or bloodied but enlightened. Record the outcome. Repeat for 30 consecutive days. At the end, you will possess proof that destiny can be edited in 60-minute chapters. Stand now in your mind, if not your body, and pledge allegiance to the sparse, potent, transformative hour that awaits you. Nations have been reborn in less. Businesses birthed, novels finished, bodies remade, love letters penned, breakthroughs engineered. All in the crucible of disciplined minutes. The 60-minute revolution is not merely a tactic, it is a philosophy, a refusal to drown in triviality. Embrace it, and the calendar becomes your ally, the clock your accomplice, and each sunrise a proclamation, here comes the architect of miracles. The world will feel the tremors of your focused hour. Begin tomorrow. Better yet, begin today. And when you do, know this: history has room for every revolutionary who masters 60 unstoppable minutes. Seize the golden hour, the single blazing fragment of daylight that separates the bold from the dawdling, the triumphant from the tentative. In those first moments when possibility is still unclaimed, when the world hesitates between dream and action, you must step forward with decisive intent. The clock will not plead, it will not pause, it will not show mercy. It simply advances, indifferent to your hesitation. Your task is to rip one pristine hour from its relentless march and transform it into a crucible of unstoppable focus. Take that hour before distraction's claws sink into your ambitions, before emails multiply like weeds, before the noise of obligations rises to a deafening roar. Guard it as a fortress commander guards the final gate, unyielding, alert, prepared to repel every trespasser. Choose a mission of consequence, a target worthy of concentrated fire. No multitasking mirage, no half-hearted dabbling. This hour demands a single bullseye, clear and unwavering. Visualize that target until its outline glows behind your eyelids, until you can trace its shape by memory alone, for clarity is the birthplace of power. Then silence the world, mute the phone, exile the browser, close the door, place a sign upon your mind that reads "Closed for mediocrity." Feel the hush settle over your thoughts like freshly fallen snow, each flake a promise of unbroken focus. Breathe once, deep and deliberate, as if drawing pure fuel into your lungs, and begin the assault. Load every ounce of energy you possess into the first salvo. Write the opening lines, sketch the pivotal design, rehearse the high-stakes pitch, sprint through that first mile. Whatever your craft, strike with compressed intensity. The brain fuels its own momentum. Once ignited, motion becomes easier than inertia. Ride that surge like a surfer, harnessing a perfect wave, leaning into the speed rather than bracing against it. If doubts whisper, drown them in action. If distractions rattle the door, tighten the deadbolt. Promise yourself a short, vivid reward on the far side of the hour. A sunrise walk, a favorite song, the aroma of fresh coffee waiting like a medal, yet refuse to taste it until the clock relents. Micro-rewards are more than treats, they are contracts with your subconscious, proof that disciplined effort reaps immediate harvest. Keep your eyes flicking to the timer, not with panic, but with purpose. Each second slipping away is a spark landing on dry tinder. Let it blaze. Track your progress in real time, word counts climbing, sketches filling, pages turning, reps completing. Measurement converts effort into evidence, and evidence into accelerated belief. Should fatigue try to creep across your shoulders, tighten your posture and recall why this hour matters. Results built in concentrated bursts often dwarf those forged in sluggish marathons. Nature itself honors intensity. The heart pumps in quick contractions, lightning strikes in microseconds, seeds germinate with explosive force that splits stone. At the midway point, recommit. Take 5 breaths, nothing more, and mentally recite your target like a battle chant. Then drive harder, faster, cleaner. Push past the plateau where most abandon their post. That moment is the hallway of champions. Cross it, and momentum multiplies. Notice how peripheral concerns fall silent, as though respectful of your resolve. Notice how ideas appear unbidden, strangers eager to join the cause. This is the gift the hour grants to those who respect its sanctity, an open conduit to creativity, unobstructed by trivial static. Exploit it. Capture every insight before it vanishes into the fog of later, because later is a thief of brilliance. As the final minutes surface, accelerate rather than coast. Sprinters lean forward at the finish, emulate them. Quality is not sacrificed by velocity when the mind is honed, it is enhanced. Pour the last drops of effort like molten steel into a mold, knowing they will harden into results that outlive the moment. When the timer's final tick lands, stop exactly where you are, tools down. This deliberate halt carves a psychological edge. It teaches the mind that disciplined beginnings demand disciplined closures, that the hour is sovereign and you its loyal steward. Log what you achieved in clear, unemotional terms. Lines written, mock UPS drafted, pages studied, weights lifted. Numbers do not lie, and numbers prepare tomorrow's assault. Now look at what you possess. Tangible advancement in the space where excuses used to dwell. While others debated, you produced. While others delayed, you delivered. 1 hour seems meager until you see the artifact it leaves behind. Repeat this ritual daily and watch those artifacts assemble into architectures of success. Manuscripts, prototypes, transformed physiques, thriving ventures, sharpened skills. Compound interest is not limited to currency. It multiplies effort with the same relentless generosity. Guard this practice from erosion. Sleep earlier. If dawn is your battleground, renegotiate schedules if midday is your fortress, retreat into solitude if night is your kingdom. Adaptability preserves consistency. Let family understand, let colleagues adjust, let friends witness your metamorphosis until curiosity outweighs skepticism. The true power of the golden hour is not secrecy but demonstration. Your results become a silent sermon that inspires or indicts everyone who observes them. In time, the habit will fuse to your identity. You will feel incomplete without the daily duel against the clock. This is mastery through minutes, greatness squeezed from the ordinary span that everyone possesses yet few command. Hold it fiercely, defend it ruthlessly. Earn it anew every sunrise, for there lies the undisputed pathway to uncommon achievement, single-point focus. A laser that burns through hesitation and leaves nothing but the core. Objective illuminated in blinding clarity. In an age of perpetual pings and blinking notifications, the ability to confine all mental firepower onto one high-value target is rarer than genius and more profitable than luck. Picture an archer drawing back a single arrow while 1,000 voices clamor for attention. The crowd is irrelevant. The arrow is everything. That arrow is your task of consequence, the solitary mission that, when completed, tilts the axis of your life toward victory. The instant you commit to it, you declare war on delusion, drive out the petty tyrants of distraction, and erect an empire of undivided intent. Begin by isolating the task that will produce disproportionate impact. Strip away the ornamental errands, the busy work masquerading as importance, the social obligations that drain your battery while flattering your ego. Ask yourself, if I could accomplish only one thing today, which action would shove the dial furthest? Let that answer crystallize into a non-negotiable target, clear enough to state in 10 words, compelling enough to electrify your heartbeat. Write it on paper, not pixels, because ink implies permanence and skin-level commitment. Place that paper where your eyes cannot avoid it. Let it glare at you like an unblinking sentinel, reminding you that everything else is background noise. Now construct a perimeter. Silence the phone, close superfluous tabs, exile the trivial. Every disruption is an enemy combatant intent on siphoning your momentum. Anticipate their tactics, co-workers with quick questions, algorithmically engineered feeds, internal whispers that suggest checking metrics or straightening the desk. Fortify your environment before the assault begins. Headphones ready, workspace cleared, timer armed. Ritual breeds readiness. By performing the same decisive setup each session, you instruct your brain that it is entering sacred ground where only the mission matters. With the stage set, ignite concentrated effort. Attack the objective in aggressive sprints, short enough to sustain maximum voltage, long enough to gain traction. 25 minutes of pure execution, 5 minutes of breath. Repeat until the landmark task begins to yield. During each sprint, keep your attention chained to the present action, not its shadow. If writing, fall in love with the next sentence rather than the critic inside your skull. If coding, commune with a single function, not the looming release. If training, feel the contraction of this rep, not the pain 3 sets away. The mind, like light, develops destructive power only when focused through a narrow aperture. Measure progression constantly. Numbers are guardrails that prevent drift, words completed, lines debugged, calls made, pages reviewed, boxes lifted. Visible metrics feed motivation the way oxygen feeds flame. When you see the count climb, you taste momentum, and momentum invites deeper concentration. Conversely, if measurement reveals stagnation, adjust variables, tempo, environment, technique, without surrendering your singular purpose. Course correction is part of mastery, diffusion is not. Never trade the purity of focus for the false promise of multitasking efficiency. Multitasking is cognitive tax evasion, a deficit that compounds until productivity is bankrupt. Mindset must mirror mechanics. Picture a tunnel extending from the present moment to the completed outcome, walls smooth and featureless so thoughts cannot wander. Inside that tunnel you walk with deliberate speed, immune to outside weather. When extraneous ideas knock, imagine them rebounding off the tunnel walls and sliding away into darkness. Borrow the discipline of elite athletes who visualize only the next play, the next stroke, the next stride, until the whistle blows. Your whistle is the completion of the defined task and nothing earlier. Condition your physiology to serve focus. Hydrate beforehand, fuel with clean nutrition, breathe through the diaphragm. Sit or stand with posture that signals alertness. Slumped bodies invite sluggish minds. Temperature, lighting, and ambient sound should be tuned to preference, but locked once work begins. These details appear minor until you realize they form the cockpit of performance, and every seasoned pilot refines the cockpit before takeoff. Guard inner dialogue with equal ferocity. Replace diffuse self-talk, I need to get a lot done, with razor statements, I will draft the proposal's introduction by 10. Precision carves away ambiguity, and ambiguity breeds procrastination. Speak your commitment aloud if necessary. The spoken word anchors intention in the physical world. If anxiety surfaces, interpret it as energy eager for direction. Funnel that surge into more vigorous effort, and it transforms from barrier to propulsion. Intermittent reflection keeps the blade sharp. At predetermined intervals, step back and evaluate, am I still on the single arrow? Have I allowed tangents to infiltrate? These micro-audits pull you from potential spirals of irrelevant perfectionism. The goal is not flawless execution on peripheral details. It is substantial progress on the essential deliverable. By the session's end, you should hold concrete evidence of movement, a finished outline, a compiled module free of errors, a client confirmed, a chapter edited. Anything less indicates dispersion, and dispersion must be corrected in the next cycle. Reinforce success immediately. Close the loop by marking the task complete in visible form. Strike through, checkbox, digital flag. The act signals to the nervous system that effort equals closure, closure equals reward. Layer a small celebration, stretch, sip coffee, step outside, breathe fresh air. These micro-victories construct a neural feedback loop that makes focus desirable rather than dutiful. When the brain associates sharp attention with positive sensation, resistance dwindles over time and the transition into deep work accelerates. Expand the principle beyond daily sessions. Apply single-point focus to weeks, quarters, and years. Choose one defining project for each horizon, one arena of mastery, one audacious outcome that magnetizes every supporting action. Complexity will attempt to seduce you with its false sophistication, yet the most formidable achievements often emerge from disciplined simplicity. Look at historic breakthroughs, one filament glowing, one equation balanced, one championship pursued. Giants moved mountains because they refused to shovel in 12 directions at once. Training this faculty compounds. Every completed cycle of undivided focus thickens neural pathways that enable the next. Attention becomes a strengthened muscle, capable of longer contractions and heavier cognitive loads. Over months, you will notice an uncanny ability to enter flow states on command, while peers still chase scattered sparks. Employers recognize it, partners respect it, markets reward it. Depth is a scarce commodity in a surface-obsessed culture, and scarcity commands premium value. Beware complacency. The external world conspires to reclaim your attention through novelty, urgency, and clever mimicry of importance. Periodically audit commitments, Unsubscribe from noise, prune social feeds, renegotiate meetings, automate trivial decisions. The gardener must return with shears every season, or the weeds will retake the plot. Vigilance preserves purity. Teach the practice to allies, for focus multiplies power when teams adopt it collectively. Replace brainstorming chaos with time-boxed problem-solving. Replace status meetings with documented dashboards. Replace email ping-pong with decisive deliverables. A culture built on single-point focus becomes a fortress of productivity, its outputs towering over organizations lost in informational smog. Remember that mastery of attention is mastery of destiny. The future is forged by whatever occupies your mind in the present moment, and the present moment can host only one primary tenant. Choose that tenant with intention, defend its lease with zeal, and the architecture of your life will rise exactly where you aim the beam. Compressed intensity, an explosive surge of purposeful effort that condenses the fire of a full day into a brilliantly focused burst. Imagine a blacksmith's hammer striking molten metal with all its weight in a single decisive blow. That is the standard for your work sessions. When you engage the principle, mediocrity has no foothold, because time itself bends under the pressure of your concentrated force. The body electrifies, the mind sharpens, and distractions dissolve as if vaporized by raw heat. This is not frantic haste or reckless speed. It is deliberate acceleration, the art of channeling maximum power through a controlled aperture so every action lands with unmistakable impact. Begin by defining the window, 45 minutes, 30, even 15, whatever span can be guarded with absolute certainty. Commit to treating that window as sacred terrain, free from negotiation or dilution. By shrinking the time available, you trigger a psychological lever, urgency. Urgency bans complacency and ignites dormant reserves of attention. The brain, recognizing the limited runway, allocates resources with ruthless efficiency, discarding tangents and silencing the inner critic that often hijacks progress. You will not have time for hesitation, so hesitation dies before it can speak. Preparation is the fuse that detonates compressed intensity. Lay out every tool in advance, whether software, reference notes, or physical equipment. Close loops on minor decisions, font size, data set, workout sequence, so no bandwidth leaks once the clock starts. This ritual mirrors an athlete lacing shoes, tightening straps, and visualizing victory moments before the starting gun. In that ritual, you declare to your nervous system that high output is non-negotiable. As the timer begins, slam open the throttle. Breathe through your nose, lengthening each inhale to pull oxygen deep, fueling neurons like adding jet fuel to an engine. Your opening seconds should feel like leaping from a cliff into cold water, shocking yet exhilarating, jolting you awake. Immediately attack the hardest microtask, type the first paragraph, lift the heaviest set, code the core algorithm, because early momentum compounds. Neuroscience confirms that a fast start releases dopamine, further amplifying drive and shortening the path into flow. Flow then becomes a self-reinforcing spiral where skill and challenge lock gears, spinning faster than conscious thought. Guard posture and tempo with vigilance. Sit upright or stand tall, spine aligned, shoulders back. Biomechanics influence mental clarity more than most admit. Keep keystrokes brisk, pen strokes bold, repetitions clean. Set interim checkpoints, page by page, rep by rep, bug by bug, creating visible mini-finishes that punctuate the sprint with achievement beats. Each micro-finish is a drum hit in your internal soundtrack, pushing rhythm forward. If fatigue creeps in, adjust breathing again, quick short inhales followed by forceful exhales, a bellows stoking your internal forge. Eliminate friction aggressively. Should a file refuse to load or a link break? Skip it. Should a thought about tonight's dinner intrude? Label it later and move on. Mental triage is essential. Bleed focus only on tasks directly advancing the objective. This ruthless hierarchy is not cold, but strategic. Emotions and peripheral curiosities will have their place after the charge. Remember, compressed intensity is a sprint, and sprinters do not check their shoelaces mid-race. At halfway, surge rather than settle. Many workers plateau as novelty fades, but intensity experts pivot into a second wind. Trigger your surge with a physical cue, clench fists, tap desk, whisper a power word, and intentionally increase output by 10%. Psychological studies reveal that declaring a midpoint recommitment ward off energy dips. You are telling your subconscious the real work begins now. Respond with faster typing, deeper squats, swifter analyses, whatever metric defines progress. Data tracking becomes your compass inside this storm. Keep counters visible, word tally rising, weights moved, test cases passed. Numbers transform invisible effort into incontrovertible proof, giving the logical brain satisfaction while the creative brain roars ahead. When numbers lag, adjust tactics instead of quitting, swap sentence order, change grip width, restructure functions. The lesson is adapt without pausing. Every second saved magnifies productive density. External stimuli can be repurposed as accelerants. Background music with driving rhythm, ambient noise at steady decibels, or even a silent countdown ticking on screen, all prime the nervous system to stay locked in the present. Choose one and standardize it so your brain associates that cue with imminent high output. Over time, the first note or beep flips a neurological switch, ushering you into readiness almost automatically, a Pavlovian gateway to performance on demand. Hydration and micronutrition are tactical allies. Keep water within reach and sip strategically. Dehydration saps cognitive precision. A small piece of dark chocolate, a bite of fruit, or a handful of nuts at three-quarter mark floods the bloodstream with quick energy, permitting a final push free from glucose. Crashes. Tiny investments in physiology create major dividends in sustained fire. As the final minutes cascade, convert intensity into precision. Many assume speed must erode quality. The seasoned practitioner proves otherwise by channeling heightened arousal into surgical exactness. Eyes narrow, breathing steadies, hands move with confidence forged by minutes of relentless practice. You are no longer wrestling the task. You are sculpting it, hammer turned chisel. Identify last defects, Polish language, lock equations, all while the clock hisses its final countdown. When the timer expires, release tools instantly. This abrupt cessation protects future sessions, training your body to pour everything into the allotted span because recovery awaits on schedule. Capture immediate metrics, word count, reps completed, lines debugged, in a notebook reserved for victories. Reflection lasts no longer than 2 minutes. What worked? What clogged? What tweaks will make tomorrow's burst even sharper? The brisk review cements lessons while adrenaline is still warm, forging durable memory traces. Step away, stretch limbs, inhale slow air, drink water. These acts transmit permission to the parasympathetic system to shift from high gear to recovery mode. The alternation between explosive output and deliberate rest is where growth hides, muscle fibers rebuild, neurons consolidate patterns, ideas marinate. Resist the temptation to slide into shallow multitasking immediately after. Allow mind and body to either rest fully or pivot into a different form of deep work after ample reset. Practice compressed intensity repeatedly, and you will notice collateral gains, faster decision-making, heightened confidence, sharper situational awareness. You become the person who finishes in 40 minutes what once took 4 hours, the professional whose deliverables arrive sooner and stronger, the athlete who packs maximal. Stimulus into minimal gym time. Momentum compounds beyond the work window, infiltrating meetings, conversations, even leisure, because the identity shift is irreversible. Soon, colleagues marvel at your velocity, clients trust your deadlines, competitors study your methods in vain attempts to duplicate your edge. The larger your ambitions, the more essential this discipline becomes. Markets evolve at blinding speed, and only those who can sprint, pivot, and sprint again shape the frontier. Compressed intensity equips you with that cadence, a rhythm of explosions followed by recalibration, mirroring the heartbeat of modern innovation. Cultivate it until it feels as natural as breathing and as indispensable as courage. Visualize the finish line. See it so vividly that your pulse sinks to the image, and your muscles twitch in anticipation of the final stride. The mind obeys pictures long before it obeys commands, so give it the cinema-quality footage of triumph that will magnetize every ounce of willpower toward completion. Close your eyes and construct the scene in saturated detail, the exact shade of success shimmering under bright lights, the smell of fresh ink on a signed contract, the hum of a crowd as your prototype is unveiled, the weight of a diploma in your palm, the crisp click of a closing deal. Lock in auditory cues, the decisive applause, the chime of a notification confirming funds cleared, the whistle of a coach signaling victory. Texture the moment until it becomes more real than the chair beneath you. Neuroscience confirms that an experience vividly imagined recruits many of the same neural circuits as the experience itself. Rehearsal creates familiarity, and familiarity breeds confidence that defies the sabotage of doubt. Begin the day by replaying this internal film frame by frame. With every breath, draw the scene nearer, as though fog lifting to reveal a mountain peak. Then shrink that mountain into measurable milestones. Draft the first chapter, code the login module, negotiate the initial price point, shave 5 seconds off a lap. Each milestone is a cairn guiding you across uncertain terrain. Stack them visibly on a wall, a dashboard, a notebook. As each cairn is reached, cross it off in bold strokes, visual proof that the summit approaches. Momentum gains heft when tracked in ink. Guard the imagery against erosion. Negativity will attempt graffiti on your inner canvas. Delete it ruthlessly. Replace "what if I fail" with "how will it feel when I cross?" Let that question flood your senses. Shoulders rolling back in triumph, lungs filling with cool air, heart pounding with the rhythm of conquest. Even setbacks are reinterpreted as plot twists that heighten the eventual climax. When resistance hits, pause for 10 seconds and replay your mental highlight reel. See the ribbon break, the dashboard numbers spike, the scoreboard flash. Emotion surges anew, fueling the next push. Overlay this vision onto daily rituals. While lacing shoes, picture the finished photo. While opening software, picture the congratulatory email. While prepping slides, picture standing ovations. The more touch points you create, the stronger the cognitive tether between present effort and future payoff. Athletes tape target times to bathroom mirrors. Executives carry laminated goal cards. Authors pin mock book covers above their desks. These artifacts function as anchors, preventing drift into mediocrity's doldrums. Language must echo imagery. Speak in absolutes: I am building, I am closing, I am finishing. The subconscious ignores tentative verbs. Affirmations recited with emotion carve grooves in neural pathways, forging a route of least resistance that leads straight to execution. Couple words with posture, chin elevated, chest expanded, because the body educates the brain. Confidence expressed physically circles back as confidence felt mentally. Engage allies in the vision. Describe your finish line so clearly that teammates, mentors, and even competitors can picture it. Shared imagery aligns group effort, turning solitary ambition into collective mission. A startup founder who paints a gripping market conquest can rally engineers through all-nighters. A coach who narrates the championship ceremony can draw every ounce of sweat from players during drills. When multiple minds lock onto the same vivid outcome, synergy replaces mere cooperation, making the finish line appear to rush forward. Leverage sensory triggers to deepen immersion. A specific playlist played only during high-focus sessions becomes the unofficial soundtrack of success. A signature scent, a mint lip balm, a cedar candle, conditions the limbic system to associate that aroma with forward momentum. A particular beverage sipped exclusively during planning meetings tells taste buds that strategy is underway. Layer senses until stepping into work feels like stepping onto the set of your own destined triumph. Draft contingency snapshots for inevitable detours. Visualize overcoming glitches, the server crash swiftly debugged, the creative block shattered by a brainstorming walk, the rejection email countered with a refined proposal. By pre-seeing obstacles resolved, you inoculate motivation against surprise, turning adversity into expected plot points rather than terminal dead ends. The brain, already familiar with victory after struggle, responds with strategic calm instead of panic. Tie emotion to the finish line's ripple effect. Picture family members beaming at your graduation, employees buying homes from stock option windfalls, clients flourishing because your solutions solve their pain. Altruistic imagery amplifies drive. When the vision benefits others, discipline transforms into duty. Many surrender personal goals, but few abandon promises to those they love or serve. Synchronize visualization with physiological peaks. Right after exercise, when endorphins flood the bloodstream, replay your mental movie. The chemical high cements images in memory. Just before sleep, when alpha waves dominate, rehearse the final scene. The subconscious will iterate solutions overnight, offering breakthroughs by morning. Pair visualization with breathwork, 4-count inhales, 6-count exhales, to embed images while calming the nervous system, a blend of excitement and composure. Audit progress visually. Transform data into dashboards, graphs climbing toward targets, Gantt charts shading completion, habit trackers filling green streaks. Visual cues trigger the brain's reward centers more powerfully than raw numbers, sustaining momentum between milestone celebrations. If the graph dips, confront it immediately, revise strategy, allocate resources, sharpen tactics, then imagine the line kinking back upward. Celebrate micro-finishes with micro-ceremonies mirroring the grand finale. A short victory fist pump, a photo snapped, a journal entry titled Win #42. These small echoes reinforce the master vision, reminding the psyche that the finish line is not a distant mirage, but a destination approached one recorded triumph at a time. Each celebration deposits emotional currency, buffering morale against future fatigue. Guard against premature satisfaction. The mind, fooled by vivid imagery, may signal goal achieved too soon, sapping drive. Counteract this by pairing every visualization with a stark reminder of the gap remaining, a countdown timer, a progress percentage, a competitor's advancing metrics. This interplay of aspiration and urgency maintains tension, a bowstring pulled taut until release. As deadlines near, sharpen the picture further. Zoom in on minute details, the exact digits in the sales ledger, the precise hue of ribbon on the award, the pixel-perfect layout of the app's final screen. Fine-grained imagery pulls effort into meticulous refinement, converting broad strokes into mastery-level polish. Excellence lives in details. The average eye ignores. By seeing them early, you shape them before circumstance can degrade them. Redirect comparison energy inward. Instead of envying another's podium, visualize standing alongside them, friendly rivals sharing the stage of excellence. The brain reframes competition as inspiration, converting jealousy into jet fuel. This mental judo flips external pressure into inner propulsion, ensuring that focus remains on improving, not brooding. Finally, embed the finish line into identity. Shift language from I will finish to I am a finisher. Identity drives behavior more relentlessly than goals do. The smoker may crave cigarettes, but a non-smoker's identity overrides craving. Likewise, a finisher's identity overrides procrastination. Feed that identity daily by visual proof. Calendars of completed tasks, shelves of shipped products, testimonials from people impacted. Over time, the finish line ceases to be a destination and becomes the terrain you naturally traverse, mile after mile of accomplishment stretching toward a horizon that forever invites forever challenges, forever rewards. Leverage micro-rewards, tiny deliberate incentives that flip the switch from discipline as drudgery to discipline as desire. The brain is a reward-seeking missile. When it senses even a whisper of pleasure on the far side of effort, it arms itself with momentum that caffeine cannot rival. Harness this reflex by scattering small treasures along the path of your objectives. Promise yourself a steaming mug of espresso after outlining the chapter, a brisk walk under blue sky after closing 3 sales calls, 10 minutes of guilt-free scrolling only once. The code compiles without errors. These bite-sized prizes are not childish bribes, they are neurological accelerants, releasing dopamine fast enough to braid habit loops that endure long after novelty fades. Begin each work sprint by announcing its payoff in explicit detail. what, when, and how it will feel, because specificity heightens anticipation, and anticipation is gasoline for focus. The moment the sprint ends, deliver the reward immediately, never postponing to a vague later, or the brain learns that effort and pleasure are unrelated. Consistency teaches your subconscious that sweat is the toll for delight, and soon the toll booth operates automatically, dropping barriers the instant you step onto the task. Curate rewards with intention. They must be proportionate, lavish enough to excite, modest enough to sustain daily repetition. A single square of dark chocolate, an upbeat song played at full volume, a 5-minute meditation in sunlight, a quick journal entry celebrating progress. Rotate the menu so novelty keeps serotonin on its toes. Avoid rewards that sabotage the larger mission. Don't celebrate a disciplined workout with junk food that erases gains, nor mark a breakthrough in savings with impulse shopping. The prize should echo the spirit of the goal, reinforcing identity rather than fracturing it. If the mission is to read more, the micro-reward might be jotting a compelling quote on a beautifully designed card, creating a tangible trophy of learning. If the mission is entrepreneurial growth, the treat could be updating a visual revenue tracker, letting rising bars scratch the itch for achievement. Embed these incentives into your environment so friction to claim them is nearly zero. Place a stack of fresh green tea bags beside your keyboard, line a shelf with short, inspiring podcasts cued and labeled Victory Track, preload scenic walking routes into your smartwatch. The easier it is to cash in a micro-reward, the more tightly effort and pleasure fuse in neural circuitry. Over time, the ritual becomes a Pavlovian loop. Trigger task begins, routine deep work, reward instant delight, craving urge to repeat. You transform willpower from a limited resource into a renewable energy grid powered by dopamine surges you control. Micro-rewards also act as psychological checkpoints that slice intimidating mountains into climbable ridges. Instead of staring at a 30-page financial model, stare at page 1, knowing a cold splash of citrus water awaits its completion. Turn writing 3,000 words into 6 intervals of 500, each crowned with a stretch and a favorite instrumental track. These mini finish lines keep fatigue from snowballing into surrender because the next oasis is always within sight. Marathoners do not conquer 26 miles at once. They string together sips and strides between water stations, each moment of relief renewing resolve for the next segment. Deploy social micro-rewards for exponential effect. Post a quick update in a mastermind group announcing a milestone met, and collect digital fist bumps. Praise from peers is a potent neurochemical cocktail, combining oxytocin's bonding warmth with dopamine's thrill. This external acknowledgement amplifies internal gratification, doubling the motivational payout for the same input of effort. Ensure the group's culture is one of constructive celebration, no sarcasm, no envy, so the reward remains pure fuel, not a double-edged comparison trap. Calibrate frequency based on task difficulty. Mundane chores might deserve a reward after completion of several clustered items, whereas cognitively brutal work may merit one every 20 minutes to maintain altitude. Think of an aircraft refueling mid-air. Long flights require periodic boosts to prevent catastrophic drop-offs. Likewise, sustained mental climbs depend on timely infusions of pleasure. Be mindful, however, of diminishing returns. If rewards become too frequent, they fade into background noise and lose potency. The sweet spot is just enough scarcity to keep anticipation sharpened. Introduce randomness occasionally to spike engagement. Gamify progress with a small box of mystery tokens. After each milestone, draw one blind. Maybe it's a scented candle to light. Maybe a 10-minute power nap. Maybe a handwritten note reminding you of a past victory. Uncertainty excites the brain's reward pathways even more than predictable treats, a phenomenon casinos exploit. Deploy it ethically for your own growth rather than gambling away. Focus. Randomness must remain bounded, positive, healthy, aligned with goals, so momentum stays constructive. Remember to escalate the scale of micro-rewards in step with the scale of milestones. Finishing a multi-month project might earn an evening of immersive leisure, a concert, a chef's tasting menu, a secluded cabin retreat. Though larger, these remain micro relative to the overarching life vision. They are pit stops, not final destinations. Document them with photos, journal entries, ticket stubs pinned to a corkboard, because tangible artifacts transform fleeting pleasure into long-term motivational assets. On bleak days, revisiting this gallery of earned indulgences flicks on floodlights of determination. Leverage habit stacking to attach micro-rewards to high-value but low dopamine behaviors like networking follow-ups or budget reviews. Immediately after completing the dry task, segue into a mini-reward that already exists in your routine, such as your scheduled afternoon coffee. This piggybacking spares bandwidth and ensures consistency. Over weeks, the brain begins to associate reviewing spreadsheets with savory latte froth, dissolving aversion through conditioned anticipation. Teach your support network to honor your system. Let family know that when headphones are on, you're hunting a reward, and when they come off, a micro-celebration is underway. Involve kids by allowing them to draw a gold star on your progress board each time you hit a milestone. Their excitement multiplies your own and models resilience for the next generation. In professional settings, convert team meetings into recognition huddles where micro-victories get spotlighted. Even a 60-second shout-out boosts collective morale and normalizes rapid cycles of effort and reward. Guard against counterfeit gratifications that masquerade as micro-rewards but steal more dopamine than they give. Endless social feeds, sugary snacks, clickbait videos, they promise quick hits yet leave attention fragmented and energy hollowed. An authentic micro-reward leaves you refreshed, not depleted, inspired, not restless. Use a simple litmus test. Does this treat make the next work interval easier or harder? If harder, it belongs on the blacklist. Finally, evolve your micro-rewards as you evolve. Early in the journey, a sticker may thrill. Later, you might crave deeper indulgence, like a 10-page dive into a passion project or a phone call with a mentor. Track which incentives spark the brightest fire and iterate your menu quarterly. Mastery is a moving target. So too must be the beads of nectar that lure you across each new frontier. Keep the chain unbroken, the cues crisp, the treats meaningful, and watch as monumental achievements emerge from a constellation of well-timed sparks command the environment. Reshape every square inch around you into an accomplice for greatness, leaving not a single object, sound, or beam of light uncontrolled. Success is an act of engineering as much as inspiration, and the first structure you must design is the arena in which your ambition will fight. Walk into your workspace as a general surveys a battlefield, identify high ground, eliminate blind spots, position resources within one arm's reach, and expel anything that might aid the enemy of distraction. The chair should fit your spine like a tailored suit, the desk height calibrated for effortless reach, the monitor angled to spare your neck from surrendering posture. Lighting must blast away shadows of fatigue, natural daylight if possible, full spectrum lamps if not, because gloom breeds sluggish thoughts, while brightness invites alertness to sit on the edge of its seat. Sound is either a sword or a siren. Choose a single auditory backdrop that sharpens focus and bar entry to all others. Noise-canceling headphones, a looping white noise track, or a playlist whose tempo matches your workflow. Lock it in, name it sacred, and treat interruptions as trespass. Declutter with ruthless finality. Every item that fails to serve the current mission is a silent tax on cognition, so clear desks, shelves, and digital desktops until only mission-critical instruments remain. Each unnecessary tab open in your browser dilutes thinking. Each careless pile on your floor signals permission for chaos to multiply. Replace clutter with intentional signals of purpose, a progress board that makes momentum visible, a single inspirational quote framed at eye level, a timer set like a sentinel on the desk's corner. Simplicity is not aesthetic whimsy. It is tactical minimalism that leaves the mind no escape routes from the task at hand. Temperature is an overlooked lever. Research proves productivity curves peak between 18 and 22 degrees Celsius. Tune the thermostat into that narrow band and keep it steady. Too warm invites lethargy, too cold saps fine motor control. Aim for a climate that whispers alert yet comfortable, a Goldilocks zone where thoughts move like athletes warmed up but not winded. Air quality follows the same principle: open windows, add a plant, invest in filtration. Oxygen is cognitive currency, and stale air is bankruptcy. Use scent as a stealth weapon. Essential oils of peppermint or citrus, a faint coffee aroma, even the crisp smell of freshly printed paper can anchor the brain in performance mode. Anchoring is Pavlovian psychology for high achievers. When a specific fragrance consistently accompanies deep work, the first whiff becomes an instant summons to concentration. Establish morning and evening rituals around these cues. Diffuser on, candle lit, window cracked, and the environment will start the session before you sit down. Color influences mood faster than words can form. Paint walls or add accents that match the psychological state you need. Blues for calm analytical tasks, greens for creative problem solving, deeper reds for short bursts of intensity. A single accent wall or strategically placed object can shift emotional climate without repainting your entire world. Pair color with texture, a smooth mousepad, a wooden desk edge, a leather notebook, and tactile satisfaction translates into mental ease, freeing bandwidth for higher-order thinking. Technology should be arranged as if speed were life and friction death. Shortcuts mapped, files nested 3 clicks or fewer from the desktop, backup drives mirrored automatically, cables hidden to prevent snagging attention. Disable notifications at the system level, silence group chats, log out of social media entirely. Automation replaces vigilance. The fewer manual gates you must close each day, the less willpower burns on maintenance, and the more remains for creation. Schedule software updates for nights, set antivirus scans outside peak hours, batch email retrieval to pre-designated windows so no inbox siren lures you onto the rocks. Embed movement corridors into static spaces, a standing desk converter, a pull-up bar in the doorway, a yoga mat rolled beside the chair. All signal the body to shift posture before stiffness breeds fog. Micro-movement every hour pumps blood, and blood carries glucose, and glucose feeds neurons. The environment becomes a coach reminding you to stretch, a physical alarm clock ringing silent bells into your muscles. Curate a hydration station within reach, a glass bottle filled at the start of each sprint, a mug of green tea steeped precisely, an electrolyte packet waiting for afternoon slumps. The ritual of sipping doubles as a mini pause, a chance to inhale, exhale, and re-aim your mental lens. Likewise, snacks deserve the same engineering: almonds portioned, fruit washed, nothing processed within arm's reach. When the environment only offers clean fuel, energy stays clean, and decision fatigue evaporates. Physically gatekeep entry. A closed door, a visible inflow sign, perhaps even a smart lock that integrates with your calendar to allow disturbances only when you've blocked time for collaboration. At home, set family expectations. At the office, negotiate team norms. Culture obeys physical symbols, so hang the symbol. Teach those around you that silence during focused blocks is an investment that pays dividends for everyone. For virtual environments, mirror the same discipline. Arrange digital workspaces by project, use dark mode or light mode intentionally, disable icons that tempt stray clicks. Construct templates for recurring documents, macros for repetitive tasks, and naming conventions so files self-organize. The screen becomes a landscape where the eye darts only between relevant coordinates and every pixel earns its citizenship. Regularly audit your domain. Once a month, perform a sweep, purge obsolete supplies, archive dormant folders, review settings for leaks of attention. Habitually ask, does this object, app, or layout serve my current goals? If not, delete, donate, or delegate. The environment is a living organism. Left unattended, entropy wins. Scheduled maintenance is the immune system that keeps clarity healthy. Finally, deploy positive emotional triggers to crown your engineered space. A small trophy earned, a photograph capturing triumph, a vision board previewing the next conquest, all placed where occasional glances ignite pride and future hunger. Simultaneously, These reminders transform the environment from neutral backdrop into motivational partner, a silent mentor nodding encouragement every time self-doubt tiptoes past the threshold. Command the environment until stepping into your workspace feels like entering a cockpit. Every dial calibrated, every switch within reach, every distraction ejected beyond the hatch. Once inside, liftoff becomes the only possible outcome. Track, measure, adjust. Turn every ambition into a living data stream, every action into a measurable signal, every result into feedback that sharpens the next strike. Goals that remain vague die of malnutrition. Goals fed by numbers grow muscle, speed, and resilience. Begin by translating intention into explicit metrics. Words drafted, kilograms lifted, leads contacted, bugs resolved, dollars saved, minutes meditated. The moment a dream gains a unit of measure, it crosses the border from fantasy into engineering. Post those metrics where the eyes cannot escape them. On a wall chart, a dashboard widget, a notebook margin in bold ink. Visibility transforms accountability from a whispered wish into an unblinking witness. Embed tracking in real time. Do not delay until evening to tally output. Log progress the instant it happens. Each recorded increment is a micro-victory that releases dopamine, propelling momentum forward like a ratchet that cannot slip back. A clicker on the desk counts sales calls. A spreadsheet autofills word totals. A wearable pings heart rate zones. Automation is king. When the tool captures data without taxing willpower, consistency soars and error plummets. If effort cannot be measured, refine the metric or refine the task. Ambiguity is camouflage for excuses. Measure against baselines, not moods. Yesterday's performance is the only fair opponent. Compare selves, not selves to strangers. Raw numbers reveal trends invisible to gut feelings. The upward crawl of squat weight, the slow decline of code defects, the steady expansion of daily reading time. Chart these lines weekly. Graphs speak truth faster than paragraphs. When the curve flattens, accept it as a signal, not a condemnation. Plateau means parameters need shaking, not that talent has vanished. Adjust with surgical detachment. Treat data like a compass needle, not a verdict on character. If word counts sag, analyze writing slots, energy cycles, topic complexity. If revenue dips, dissect funnel stages, messaging, lead quality. Change one variable at a time. Time of day, length of sprint, tool choice, so causation remains clear. This scientific loop, track, measure, adjust, builds a feedback lattice that elevates performance from guesswork to iterative mastery. Pilots correct course multiple times per flight. Achievers correct tactics multiple times per week. Celebrate data-driven wins loudly. When the tracker shows a personal record, mark it with a colored stripe, a bold ringtone, a posted screenshot. Public acknowledgement ingrains behavior. Private pride fuels continuity. Share progress charts with mentors or mastermind peers who respect numbers over chatter. Their calibrated praise anchors discipline. Conversely, when metrics expose a slump, confront it the same day. Delay lets denial germinate. A rapid adjustment, tighter deadline, refined plan, strategic rest, saves weeks of drifting. Layer macro and micro metrics. At the macro level, quarterly OKRs quantify strategic vision. Launch the product, land the promotion, run the marathon. At the micro level, daily key actions feed those OKRs. Design one screen, pitch 2 prospects, add 10 kilometers. Link each micro metric to its macro parent so every small tick echoes the larger anthem. This hierarchy prevents busy work from masquerading as progress. If a task cannot trace lineage to a strategic number, eliminate or delegate it. Visualize the entire system. Kanban boards, burn-down charts, habit trackers. Pick a format that sparks clarity. Color code for quick scanning, green advancing, yellow stalling, red regressing. Visual friction exposes bottlenecks faster than verbal reports. Aim for a single source of truth. Accessible across devices, fragmentation breeds blind spots. During weekly reviews, walk the board line by line, asking what deserves amplification, what requires pruning, what experiment will unclog the slowest lane. Integrate biometrics when relevant. Sleep duration, resting heart rate, calorie intake, all correlate with cognitive horsepower and emotional durability. A dip in deep sleep might explain a dip in creative output. A spike in stress markers might predict error rates. Data synergy emerges when personal and professional dashboards overlap, revealing holistic patterns that one silo would miss. Optimal performance is a symphony of variables. Measure the orchestra, not just the solo. Beware vanity metrics. Social likes, surface-level traffic, raw follower counts, easy to inflate, easy to worship, rarely tied to revenue or learning. Prefer metrics that change decisions, conversion percentage, retention rate, comprehension score, max lift. The litmus test is simple. Will this number's movement alter my next action? If no, demote it to background noise. Embrace failure as informative data. When an experiment tanks, record it with the same precision as a triumph. Negative results prune dead branches, guiding resources toward fruitful ground. Laboratories do not hide unsuccessful trials. They document them, so the next iteration starts wiser. Adopt that ethos, every misfire archived, every insight tagged, the knowledge base compounding like capital. Set review cadences and guard them. Daily stand-ups for micrometrics, weekly reflections for trend lines, monthly retros for strategy pivots. Schedule these rituals before social events, before entertainment, before the weekend exhale. Analysis delayed is analysis diluted. In each review, ask 3 questions. What is working? Why? How can it scale? What is lagging? Why? How can it pivot? Discipline in questioning prevents metric fatigue and keeps curiosity sharp. Automate alerts. Threshold triggers email you when defect counts breach tolerance, when body weight slips outside range, when study hours dip below quota. Reactive systems reduce lag between problem and correction, preserving momentum. A single day saved per week equals 52 reclaimed workdays a year. An extra quarter of productivity won simply by letting data speak up sooner. Evolve metrics as goals evolve. Early-stage entrepreneurs might track prototypes built. Later they track monthly recurring revenue. A novice writer counts hours. A seasoned one counts reader engagement. Metrics that stay static while ambition grows eventually mislead. Audit tracking tools quarterly, retire obsolete numbers, birth new indicators that match the next summit. Teach teams to love dashboards. A culture that quantifies becomes a culture that outperforms. Replace opinion jousts with data walks. Replace blame with variable analysis. Replace I think with the numbers show. Emotional intelligence still matters, but it gains power when anchored to empirical ground. Leaders model transparency by sharing their own metrics. Bosses with open scorecards breed crews who embrace accountability. Finally, fuse measurement with identity. Speak of yourself as a tracker, a tester, an adjuster. Identity fuels adherence. A cyclist rides in rain because that is what cyclists do. A data-driven achiever logs metrics because that is what achievers do. When tracking becomes reflex, measuring becomes language, and adjusting becomes instinct, the feedback loop disappears into muscle memory. Mastery is no longer a distant concept. It is the inevitable byproduct of numbers captured, patterns revealed, strategies refined. Stack the hours, build the life, lay each disciplined 60-minute block like a brick in the architecture of destiny until skyscrapers of achievement dominate your horizon. Most people waste hours as if they were pennies dropped between couch cushions, but the builder treats every tick of the second hand like a gold ingot, cataloged, stacked, compounded. Picture a ledger where each focused hour earns interest. Today's entry is 1, tomorrow's is 2. By year's end, you possess 300 blazing hours of concentrated genius, the equivalent of 7 uninterrupted work weeks performed at maximum voltage. That reservoir of craftsmanship makes mediocrity impossible, because skill sharpened daily refuses to stay dull. Each hour adds another page to your manuscript, another iteration to your prototype, another layer of strength to your physique. The transformation appears slow to outside eyes, yet feels meteoric within, for momentum has a secret switch. Once critical mass is reached, progress surges like a flood breaking a dam. Begin by honoring time's atomic unit. 60 focused minutes, and schedule it before the world claws at your calendar. Seal it with a non-negotiable rule, cancel social chatter, mute devices, close doors, and if necessary, rise while darkness still carpets the streets. That sacrifice buys freedom. You trade 1 hour of social convenience for decades of extraordinary leverage. Mark each completed session with bold ink on a visible tracker. The growing chain creates psychological gravity. Breaking it becomes unthinkable. Habit scientists call this success momentum. Economists call it compounding. Visionaries simply call it inevitability. Stacking hours demands intention in selection. Do not lay random bricks and expect a palace. Design a blueprint. Choose a flagship mission that shreds excuses and ignites passion. Maybe it is mastering a language, scaling a startup, or sculpting a body capable of feats that once seemed mythic. Align supporting tasks beneath that flagship like scaffolding, reading, networking, refining technique, so every hour nudges the same pillar upward. Fragmentation is the enemy. Dilution squanders compound interest. When tempted to dabble, recall the math. 2 parallel projects each get half the hours, yet the compounding curve rewards the single, uninterrupted sequence far more steeply. Guard energy cycles to maximize the yield of each brick. Track when your mind glows brightest, dawn serenity, post-work twilight, or midday solitude, and reserve that slot for deep creation, not shallow maintenance. Offload low-impact chores to fatigue hours, laundry, inbox triage, admin calls. Time is equal, but energy is not, and the builder plays arbitrage, investing peak vigor where it multiplies. Nutrition, sleep, movement. These are not side notes, but structural reinforcements. A tired architect cannot align bricks with laser precision. 1 sluggish hour stacked crooked infects the layers above it. A rested hour slots perfectly, bearing load for decades. Celebrate weekly milestones by reviewing the rising edifice. Walk the perimeter, word counts ascending, customers onboarded, kilometers logged. Let pride kindle but not plateau. Each checkpoint is both trophy and springboard. Consciously link the satisfaction of progress to tomorrow's commitment, wiring the dopamine loop that makes returning to the craft feel irresistible. When setbacks occur, and they will for every tower faces wind, analyze, adapt, continue stacking. A skipped hour is repaired by 2 impeccable ones. A design flaw is fixed before additional courses are laid. Builders don't abandon projects when rain falls. They adjust scaffolds and pour sturdier concrete. Leverage collaboration to accelerate construction. Hours stacked in isolation are powerful. Hours stacked in synchronized teams are seismic. Form alliances where each member pledges a daily hour to a shared mission. Code sprints at dawn, accountability calls at dusk. Group velocity compounds not linearly but exponentially. Because knowledge cross-pollinates, morale reinforces, and shared deadlines slice through procrastination's veil. Keep teams lean and goals crystalline, bureaucracy dilutes stack height. A squad of 5 disciplined people can outbuild a corporation of 500 wanderers. Track cumulative totals with fanatical clarity. A visible graph of hours invested resembles the upward climb of an investor's portfolio. The steeper the slope, the louder the internal chorus chanting, "Keep going," the payoff is locked in. When you hit 1,000 hours, pause to marvel at expertise blooming where ignorance lived. When you cross 10,000, mastery emerges not as legend, but as documented fact, a certificate signed by time itself. The world pays premiums for such proof because scarcity drives value, and few possess the grit to stack so high. Understand opportunity cost. Each hour misspent is a brick removed from your own tower and handed to someone else's. Streaming loops, gossip scrolls, and meeting sprawl are thieves in designer clothing. Conduct quarterly audits to expose these culprits, then erect boundaries like security fences. Replace passive entertainment with active restoration, nature walks, deliberate play, quality conversation that returns energy rather than drains it. The goal is not monastic deprivation, but intentional allocation. Joy and rest account for essential floors in your life structure, but they too are placed deliberately, not spilled. Like loose gravel, Teach this craftsmanship to those you mentor, children, protégés, colleagues, so their towers rise in concert, reshaping skylines of families, companies, communities. A culture that reveres purposeful hours breeds innovation by default. Schools could track curiosity blocks instead of seat time. Corporations could reward learning sprints as fiercely as quarterly quotas. Change ripples outward. One disciplined builder inspires 10 observers who influence hundreds more until neighborhoods hum with focused creation instead of idle complaint. Anticipate the plateau of diminishing returns and build escape staircases in advance. After months of stacking, the same routine can fossilize. Novelty and difficulty must ramp to keep compound interest blazing. Escalate challenges, harder algorithms, heavier weights, larger stage audiences. Introduce time-boxed experiments, writing poetry to sharpen prose, studying philosophy to enrich product design, then integrate fresh insights into the main framework. This cyclical renewal keeps the tower soaring skyward rather than ossifying into a monument of past glory. Remember mortality, not morbidly but motivationally. Hours are finite. Their scarcity grants them pricelessness. Visualize the horizon of your calendar pages turning to white, then fading to none. Every brick you fail to place today leaves a void that tomorrow cannot backfill. Conversely, each one you set now becomes a stepping stone your future self will thank you for, with tears of relief and triumph. Legacy is the shadow cast by stacked hours under the sun of a lifetime. Thus, with deliberate choice, disciplined repetition, strategic elevation, and relentless protection of the calendar's precious squares, you transform passing minutes into permanent monuments. Stack the hours, and brick by glowing brick, watch the life you once sketched in vague hopes rise into a citadel of undeniable reality. Steel yourself to safeguard every ticking fragment, for the minutes you seize today calcify into the pillars that hold up tomorrow's legacy. When doubts gather like storm clouds, glance back at the towering structure already standing, hour upon hour fused by deliberate craft, and let its silhouette remind you that effort is never wasted, only invested,